Welcome back for those of you who have been following along some of these tutorials. This is tutorial number 5. We are going to be editing Ghost Rider from the Marvel Universe action figure toy line, and this is from the Flip Scene Studio book number 1, Hellish Inferno. So we're going to do a little bit of editing here with him, with the background, just a couple different little things here, maybe change some colors, but yeah, just come along for the ride. And some of these special effects I already have kind of laid out over here just ahead of time. If you check out tutorial number 3, it shows you how you can create some of these special effects and overlays yourself. Okay, I'll go ahead and jump right into it. Let's see. So for starters, we're going to click this main picture, and we're going to use this quick select tool, and we're going to choose select subject. It usually does really good at selecting the actual subject. So yeah, look at that. It did great. So that we're going to go with that. No tweaking needed there. So we're going to Control C or Command C if you're on Mac. I use Windows, so forgive my lingo. Control C to copy, and then we're going to say Control Shift V to paste. That's going to paste him exactly in the same spot. Okay. Now that we have him on a separate layer, we want to color match him with the background. But first, before I even do that, I want this background to be a little more. I think it needs to be a little bit more orangey with this particular figure. So I'm just going to hue that a little bit. There we go, a little bit in the orange direction. That looks a little bit better to me. I think might desaturate it just a hair, a little bit more dead and dry and hot. Yeah, I think that looks good. So now we're going to take Ghost Rider himself here. And we are going to go to Image, Adjustments, and match the color. We're going to choose this document that we're working in, and we're going to match it to this Hellish Inferno layer. So we're going to choose to match it to the Hellish Inferno layer, which is this layer right here. And obviously that is way too much, right? So we're going to take the fade. If I were to go all the way up, this is untouched. This is what he looks like. But if I bring this down, you'll see it start to bring in the tones of the environment that it's in. So I think that looks a little bit more like the tones that should be there. Okay, so we're hitting OK on that. I don't like these orange reflections that I have in this particular shot. So something that I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight his body right here. Now remember, I'm on this layer with the action figure. I'm going to Control C, Command Shift, or Control Shift V. So that's this layer here. So the one on top, I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and Saturation. And I'm going to choose that kind of reddish tone right there. And I'm going to bring the saturation down. Look at that. See how it's like there? If I bring it down, he wears black anyway, but I'm making it black and white by desaturating it. So that looks pretty good. Alright, and did it change anything on his face? It did not. That's good. So I'm going to go ahead and merge those two together since I like those. So there, we took care of the little red glowing issue that he was reflecting on his pants there. Alright, now, this spiral binding in the background, we got to get rid of that, right? So I'm going to click the background right here. And I'm going to simply choose, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to get this little selection tool here. And I'm going to highlight around that spiral binding. I like to give it a little bit of space around it. And then click Generate a Fill. And we're going to leave this default. We're not going to change anything. And we're going to hit Generate. This is going to come back with about 3 different options. If you've seen my other tutorials, I always mention the same thing. Typically, we can find something that works in the first 3. If not, you hit Generate again, it'll give you 3 more. Until you find what you're happy with. I mean, that already looks pretty good. But let's see what our options are. There's 1, 2, and 3. Oof. Yeah, they're tough sometimes to choose. You know, just to get things moving, I'm going to go with number 3 here. So, I'm going to click that Generative Fill layer, and I'm going to hold Control, and I'm going to choose the Hellish Inferno. And I'm going to do Control E to merge those together. So now that binding is permanently gone. The picture already looks great right here. But now, I always like to add in special effects. So I do see I accidentally got out of frame up here a little bit. when I took this picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that little black square right there. Again, generate a fill, leave it default, click generate. Let's get rid of that up there. This is where all the time is, right here. Just waiting for this to generate something. Okay, I'll take it. That looks good. So I selected both, and then I did Control E to merge them together. So now this already looks good. You could run away with this, and it would actually be a pretty darn good image. But we're going to show you how to take it to even the next level, more cinematic, adding some overlays and special effects. Okay, so for starters, the fire on his head, we should probably make it look like fire. So I have a fire overlay right here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in here just to get a little bit closer in on them. Let's shrink this in a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to angle it more like the angle of his head here. So I'm going to do something along the lines of this right here. Now I know that doesn't cover perfectly, but I'm going to get my eraser tool. And I'm going to clean it up around the edges, underneath this collar here. And maybe around here. Yeah, that's looking a little bit better. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. You can't see his face now. And you are correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink down my eraser tool so I can get a little bit more detailed here. And I'm going to change the opacity up here to 50%. Not 5%. 50%. There we go. And I'm going to start by erasing the detailed areas like his eyes. Let's get those eyes and the nose and the mouth right here. Alright, we can bring those out even a little bit more. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that's actually looking pretty good. And you can just kind of play around with it until you get to a place that you think looks good. I might erase some on that forehead right here, some of that eyebrow bone line there, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but I think that is already looking pretty good. But I want to add a little bit of a glowing effect behind this flame here. I want it to look like it's actually glowing, it's actually burning, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose, so here's the flame layer right here. We're going to add a layer, but I'm going to put it behind that flame layer. I'm going to get my paintbrush, and I'm going to hold Alt on my keyboard, and I'm going to choose probably some of this darker orange color, somewhere in here maybe. Let's see, where's some orange? Let's get some of this dark orange color. There we go. And I'm simply going to paint behind him. I know it's going on top of his face right now, that's fine. But again, we're going to do the same thing we did before. So you can see here, we've painted this glow. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my eraser tool, and I'm going to erase. Actually, I could go bigger with the brush on this one. Let me go a little bit bigger, and let me change opacity back to 100%. All right, I want to erase that orange from his face. I want to see a clear head in here. Okay. That's not bad. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take that glow that still looks a little weird, and I'm going to go to blur and Gaussian blur. Okay. And if you take it all the way down, that's what it looks like, but we're going to slowly bump it up until it fades out to the right amount that just looks like the proper glow. Yeah. Oh yeah. See, that looks good right there. Now it looks like it's actually got a warm glow around it. If I were to hide that layer, it does make a difference. It's like a warm glow around that fire. So that's already looking really good. Okay. So now let's add some effects to the environment around him. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna do, what did I pull out earlier? All right, we'll start with some smoke. That's fine. We'll grab some of this smoke here. I'm gonna turn it sideways. I want it to kind of look like the ground is steaming. So I'm gonna make that a little bigger right here. But we don't want that to be white smoke. Things here would be reflective, right? If it were white smoke, it would be reflecting all of this orange color. So we're gonna go here to the hue and saturation. We're gonna colorize it, and we're just gonna change this to be more of a orangey tone. Let's bring some of that up. Yeah, because it would be reflecting all these lights everywhere. So here now we have this orangish tone over his feet to kind of put in front of him. If you really wanted to, you could take some of that, hold Alt, drag that down behind him, and you could have, whoops, I drug the wrong layer down. Let me see. Let's drag this behind him, and let's choose the one behind him, and let's drag it up. And if you want to, you can kind of shrink it down, do what you want to do with it. And since it's in the distance, I'll probably just kind of fade it out a little bit because it's getting further away. Okay. Again, it's already looking pretty darn cool. Let's go with these fire embers here that I have, if you can see these. So basically what I'm gonna do with these embers, I want there to be a lot of embers. There's a lot of fire going on here. So I'm gonna put that there, and then I'm going to hold Alt, and I'm going to drag another copy. And I'm going to make it a little bigger, maybe turn it so it's a little different. Very good. Let's do another one. I'm just making more and more copies of these, making them bigger, rotating it so it's different. All right, so if you look there, this is already looking cool. It's starting to look much more realistic. I threw a lightning bolt in here just because I was getting kind of creative here. But let's just say that was going to be in the sky up here in the background. Maybe I just wanted something creepy, like just that spooky tower back there, right? So that lightning bolt, if I were to select that and go to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation, I do that a lot. Let's change this to a color that fits the environment. Maybe, yeah, that looks kind of sweet. Let's desaturate it a little bit. That looks kind of good. Now, because it needs to be behind those things, so I'm going to get my eraser tool, and I'm basically going to erase it if it is, let me go bigger with that. If it's in front of this castle, I'm just going to erase it off of it. Right? This little guy here, make sure there's none on him, get it off of his horn. So now it looks more like it's behind it, but it's still a little too crisp. You know, since it's going into the distance, it needs to be blurred. So again, we're going to go to the Gaussian blur. And let me undo that. Go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian blur, so we can actually control the amount of blur. So there it is, too crisp. Let's start bumping it up until it feels a little natural. That's actually pretty good right there. And then I'm going to probably bring the opacity down just a hair, because I don't want that to be the focal point, right? Okay, look at that. Look at this picture. We've come a long ways. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose this background layer and all the way up to all my effects. I'm going to Control E and merge them. Boom. So now we got a flattened image. This looks pretty good, but I like to come in here at the end and adjust the, let's go to, there's a preset up here under, where is it at? Under Creative, called Dark Fade. I like that, not as a final, don't worry, but this dark fade, if you click that right here, go to the opacity, you can bring it all the way down. So that's our original. Just slowly bump it up until it feels like something cinematic, right? It just adds that cinematic touch, like that right there. It's very subtle, but I like that. Probably around, I don't know, probably around 30%. Okay. So, and now I'm going to merge those together. And now I'm going to grab, so with this new image selected, I'm going to go to the levels. I've always liked bringing the darks up a little bit and bringing the brights out a little bit as well. And to me, it just always made it look cool. Okay, so that is that. I can merge those down. And now, once you're done, just grab your logo, slap at the bottom. You don't want your logo to be the star of the show here, so let's bring that transparency down. You just kind of want it to peek in the picture a little bit. And there we have it. We have our final product, Ghost Rider. Now, I do have it before. This is where we started. Look at that difference. And this is where we ended. And you just saw me do it from start to finish. If I can do it, you can do it. Just slow down the video, pause it. But I'm just trying to show you some concepts of how to use some of these overlays. But uh, these backgrounds really put us in the original world that we're looking at here, and then we just tweak it from there. But tell me that's not a rockin' photo right there. That's pretty awesome. All right, so that's it for this one, and I will continue to make more. If you guys have questions, let me know. Check out my other tutorials. All right, thanks.